Welcome to our latest Influencers in Hospitality interview, a video Q&A where we ask the influential leaders in our industry to share the strategies and insights that have made them so successful.
Welcome to our latest Influencers in Hospitality interview. I am Roger Allen, and this is a video Q&A where I ask the influential leaders of our industry to share the strategies and insights that have made them so successful. I have the great pleasure of welcoming Dimitris Manikis, the President of Europe, Middle East and Africa at Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. Dimitris, welcome to Influencers in Hospitality. How are you?
Thank you, Roger. I'm well. Thank you. Lovely to be with you today. Thank you so much.
Super. Thanks for joining us. Now, just to kick off, there's no warm-up questions here. As an influencer and having been through the pandemic, has it changed your approach to work? And if so, what has it taught you?
Wow. Actually, it's a funny day today that we're having this discussion, because it was exactly 2 years ago when we closed our office. It was the 15th of March. We closed our offices in Hammersmith in London. And I said to the team, well, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And the 2 weeks became a month, and the month became 6 months. And then we ended up 2 years later. And we're still, some of us, they're still working from home, and we still don't have everybody back at work. So it's an interesting day that we're having this conversation. What it has actually taught me, it actually changed my views about work completely. When I'm 58. So when I grew up and thinking about my career, a corner office was absolutely important and critical in your development. You needed that big corner office, and when the moment you walked into that corner office, you say, I have arrived, I'm successful. That doesn't apply anymore. In the last 2 years, my corner office became my bedroom, became the closest coffee shop, became a lobby, a hotel room. It just completely changed the way we look at things. And so to answer your question, what it has taught me, it has taught me that what I thought about work and the way to work in the past, it doesn't apply anymore. We live in a completely different world. And if we don't adjust to that world, I think we're going to be a relic of the past. I think we're going to stay in the past, and we won't understand what actually is going to be happening in the future. So that was my biggest lesson. My corner office, it's not a sentiment of my career anymore.
As an industry, what should we stop or start doing?
There's so many things. Again, I think that the last 2 years have been a catalyst, right? We've done more projects the last 2 years than we have done in 10 years. And we've accelerated projects today that we have been taking in a normal circumstances will take 5 years. So one of the things that we need to start doing a bit more is to be faster, to be far more agile. Not to be stuck in stories of the past. We like, hospitality, it is a lot about the past, and it is a lot about, the things that we have achieved and the way we were here. No, now it's about the future. How do we start talking about the future? How do we actually start becoming an interesting industry for people to work again? One of the biggest challenges that we have today as an industry is we don't have a storytelling. Our storytelling is not appealing to the young generation. That's why, every conference you go, every webinar, you talk about human resources and not, people don't want to work in hospitality anymore, or labor is a big challenge. Why? I think our storytelling is not appealing to the young generation. I think the young leaders of the future are not interested in hospitality as both you and I were interested, and we got fascinated when we started our careers. So what we need to stop doing, living in the past, what we need to start doing, change the narrative and change the storytelling. This industry is an amazing industry to work for, and we need to start telling that story in every single occasion that we can.
In the next 5 years, can we look that far ahead in this day and age? But if we can, in the next 5 years, what do you foresee changing about hotel guest experience?
Look, it is interesting. You know, the last 2 years we've been talking about cleanliness, right, and safety, but I've never heard our industry saying we're not clean or we're not safe. And I don't, I think we need to change that story once again. So in the next 5 years, I think we still need to deliver on the basics. People want a decent room, a clean room. They want a great bed. They want a great shower. They want a great experience. Now, everything else that surrounds all that, this is all the added value. Your Wi-Fi's, the work from hotels, the way the spas, the health centers, the food and beverage outlets, the design itself. One of the things that I feel hotels will change considerably in the future, they will become part of the community more and more. Mm-hmm. Hotels, in some cases, they were sitting there right in the middle of a city, and they were just a nice place to go and have a coffee at the lobby or sleep at night. I think hotels are now becoming more part of the community. They're becoming more part of the living, the living element of the city. And that is going to be a huge change on the guest experience. And not just a guest, because who is a guest? A guest is somebody who sleeps at the hotel, or a guest is somebody who comes for 5 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, works on his laptop and has a great cup of coffee. Everybody's a guest. Guest is not just somebody who sleeps at your property. Everybody now should be considered as your guest, because hotels are becoming part of the community. I think the next 5 years, you will see more and more of that happening. Co-living, co-sharing, digital nomads, all these new segments of hospitality, they're changing the way people look at the guest experience.
In our industry, where can we find additional or hidden value?
Yeah, this is great, because it's a great question, because that's what everybody's asking, right? Where is the hidden value and what is the added value? One of the things that I enjoy the most, Roger, is every month we have a call with our interns. We have an internship program at Wyndham. We've got about at any given point about 10 to 12 interns that work in various locations and in various parts of our business. This is the best time of my month. Why? Because I get to see these young kids, right, who are so fascinated about our industry, the fresh ideas, the things they come up with, the projects and the comments, actually the comments they make on projects that we have these grandiose projects, and we say, oh, what do you think about that? And they said, well, I wouldn't do it that way. And I'm like, oh my God, where did that come from? So this is where the hidden value is. The hidden value is there's enormous value in everybody who works in hospitality today, but there's an enormous additional value that we can bring from the young generation that can join our industry. Because you see, the hospitality industry is evolving so rapidly, and all these new ideas and segments are coming in. If you don't follow the sign of the times and you don't have the right pace, you're gonna be out of business, or you're gonna be thinking, how did that happen? Why I didn't get to be there when everybody else is, because you haven't actually listened. So I think one of the hidden values that we've got is that young generation that can bring an enormous added value to all of us for the hospitality of the future.
I want to focus now on Dimitri, the influencer.
I don't know about that, but anyway.
And you're probably one of the most, not probably, you are one of the most charismatic, positive personalities in the industry, without a shadow of a doubt. Dimitri is always Mr. Positive, Mr. Colorful. How do you retain those qualities in the face of adversity?
Look, we all as leaders and we have a duty of care to our people, right? We wake up every day and we have two choices. We either going to be positive or we can be negative. When you're negative, it's contagious. It spreads like a virus. Talking about viruses, it actually makes everybody wonder. Are we at the right place? Are we doing the right thing? when you take the positive angle, despite what is actually happening in your private life or back at business and things that you know that other people don't, it doesn't matter, because people want to see you there standing at the forefront and being positive about not just your future, but their future and the company's future. You know, one of the most difficult things in leadership I've found as I've grown in my career is that more and more people are looking up to you. I would say, and I know that this is recorded, but the happiest days of my life when I had no direct reports, because I was on my own. I was responsible for my own destiny. But now you look behind you and you see these people who are looking at you and they're following your lead, and you say, oh my God, I've got the duty of care. I've got a responsibility. So it's not fake. It's just a choice of life. And remember, let's say you're a GM, right? And you have 150 guests at your property. Do you feel that these guys want to see a long face and a very unhappy individual? No. We all wear masks at work. Either we like it or we don't. The question is, how do you actually make people see that and make sure that they follow you, being positive and just being negative, which actually is far easier to be negative than positive these days. So it is a hard choice, but it's a choice that I'm really proud and I'm really happy about.
Sure. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
It's there are two, actually. First of all, control the controllables. Somebody told me many years back, when I was trying to find solutions for everything that was happening in life, and he actually turned to me and said, listen, my friend, control the controllables. Don't worry about the things that you cannot control, because that's not part of your business. And the other great piece of advice, I got it about 6 years ago from somebody in South Africa, who said, Dimitri, it's very easy. I'm going to give you a Harvard Business MBA in 3 words: be fast, be first, or be food. So both advices, they were so to the point that, and especially that first, fast, and food, or be food.
Yeah.
It's actually been something that I really followed the last 6-7 years, because I've noticed that it has an amazing meaning. It's got so much value in it.
It is. What do you think is true that most people might disagree with you?
Oh, in terms of what industry or anything?
Anything.
Okay, I will tell you, and this is you're gonna hate me for saying this, publicly. Everywhere I go, I keep on reminding people that Greeks invented everything. So I can tell you that a lot of people, millions of people, will disagree with that. So, but you know what? It's something I keep on saying either on a private matter or in public. Greeks invented everything. Actually, they didn't, and a lot of people would disagree with me every time I say that. But I keep on saying it.
Well, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of follow-up questions from this Q&A coming out of coming out of Greece. I think definitely. What's the most unusual thing you've had to do to make it work?
Oh wow! What is the most unusual thing? I believe that, again, it relates to the last 2 years. Just live on Zoom. It was I didn't know about Zoom until the 17th of March, when we closed the office and we went on a Zoom environment 2 days later. It was one of the most unusual things I had to do, because I used to travel 250 days a year. And suddenly I couldn't. Suddenly, we all thrive, hospitality, right? We all thrive by talking to people and seeing people. Suddenly I was not allowed to see people. And suddenly I had to move in a Zoom world, in a Zoom environment, in a digital world. And we had to run a business as a team, all of us, in a digital world. That was the most unusual and the most difficult thing I've ever done. And we managed to do it, but still, Roger, wow, it's so unusual and so difficult. I remember the first time I went to my first event after, you know, the lockdowns. It was like 6-8 months ago. My God, you could see the passion of those people, and said, you know, forget about just fist pumps or whatever. People start hugging, and that's the essence of hospitality. This is what we're made of. So very unusual and very difficult for me to live on a Zoom world. And I hope that I won't have to do it again.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Dimitri, last question, and I'm very curious about your answer to this question.
Oops.
You know, if the older and wiser Dimitri of today, who is 58 years young, you mentioned that earlier in the
yes.
You mentioned that, not me. I think you was just hunting for a compliment. You're looking very well, Dimitri.
Thank you.
The older and wiser Dimitri of today could pass on a few wise words to your younger self, who is at the start of his career, what would you say?
There were things that I've learned the hard way. First of all, listen more. I wasn't a good listener when I was younger, and I realized that listening is an art. So listen more. Second, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You need to be patient. You need to be tolerant. And the third thing that, you know, I want to say to whoever is the young Dimitri, that if you want to be successful in this industry, you gotta love people. Love people. And I know it sounds very cliche and it sounds very, you know, romantic, but if you don't love people, you know, this is not an industry to be successful. So these are the three things that I would, you know, if I go back in time and speak to my young self: love people, or continue to love people, or make sure you love people to be successful in this industry. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It will take time. And at the same time, you know, listen more, because I was quite impatient when I was younger. And I've learned the hard way, and I'm really pleased that I can go back in time and tell my younger self these three things. I could be a different person if I knew then what I know now.
You know, Dimitri, there's been so many nuggets of wisdom that you've shared. I'm so pleased that we had this interview, and it's been great talking to you. And I really thank you for joining me on Influencers in Hospitality. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.